So it's weird because lately people have been saying Phil Spencer looks tired, he looks like he's about to leave, and maybe suggesting that Sarah Bond would take over for him. To which I kind of scratch my head a bit and say that's just insanity. First of all, Sarah Bond popped up on the scene only not too long ago, but I don't feel like she has the experience to run the entire Xbox side of things. Yes, she's nice to kind of she's good at talking and stuff like that, but I don't think that she has that industry credit that Phil Spencer has. And Phil Spencer gets crapped on nonstop. I used to do it. It's worse by a lot of other people too. So it's always interesting when you see this. Oh, the rumor is Phil's leaving very soon and his job's going to be taken over by Sarah Bond. From what I've gathered, and I've asked around to some people, and I'm sure even if he was going to leave, they wouldn't say so, right? Like, honestly. So do I think Phil's going to leave anytime soon? I don't think so, because they've already kind of said when the Activision deal goes through, he's going to be running the Activision side of things. Like, I can still go back to when he did that Kind of Funny Games cast, and people were saying, well, Phil looks like he's given up, he's waving the white flag, he's this or that. To be honest with you, I don't see that. I didn't see that. I saw him pretty much responding just the way that he had previously, right? In regards to the entire situation, like, hey, if we were all about console sales, we wouldn't put our games on PC, we wouldn't put our games on the cloud day one, we wouldn't do that stuff. So the fact that they do, and listen, I think that stuff is about to pay off. Like, they're breaking all kinds of records right now. He's already confirmed that their revenue is far higher than at any point with the Xbox 360. On top of that, you also can look at the fact that they have Bethesda, who has traditionally done very well in the PC crowd with mods and stuff like that. So the fact that Starfield is already like a top seller on the Steam and the game is 3 months away from release is absolutely insane. So listen, it's nothing against Sarah Bond or whatever. I think people just figure that Microsoft has gone PC and they want to get a woman in that spot and et cetera, et cetera. I don't necessarily believe that. I think Sarah Bond is fine with what she's doing. I'm not saying that maybe one day she couldn't be in that role, but I just think for the foreseeable future, Phil's the guy. Phil is the only reason that Xbox gets any respect whatsoever in the media or with gamers. He's built up that credibility. He's made friends all across the industry, right? People like to hate on the guy, but he's done the stuff that he's promised. Back in the day when Xbox One was, failing, can you imagine taking over that? That was a train wreck. That was an absolute disaster. And he kind of, went in there and turned it around. He said, we're going to turn around Xbox Live. We're going to fix the hardware problems. We're going to fix the UI. We're going to fix all this kind of stuff. We're going to work on that. And we're going to work on making sure that everybody gets games and things like that. So that's exactly where I'm at on this whole thing. You have to be able to have that kind of thing. And now not only is that the case, but people were asking him recently, about the whole Japanese thing, about, he's like, he praised the Japanese relationships, but admits that Square Enix needs more work. Obviously, it's been well documented that Xbox and Square Enix's relationship have kind of broken down over the past few months and maybe even over the last year or so, with just one game from the Japanese company have been announced for Xbox consoles so far. Head of Xbox Phil Spencer acknowledged this as part of a Giant Bomb interview following the Xbox Game Showcase, where he was talking about the work Microsoft has been doing with Japanese teams. He said, and I quote, I remember 5 years ago it was, when is Atlas going to come to Xbox? So it was awesome to see 3 games at the Xbox Showcase. Capcom announcing a new IP on the stage, also coming to Xbox Game Pass, which was great. And I say all of that, and then I can look at my friends at Square Enix and say, oh, come on, I got to get on an airplane again. So Spencer already talked about getting on an airplane, going back over to Japan, trying to rustle up some business. He was later questioned about the reasons why certain Japanese teams might avoid to choose to bring their games to Xbox, suggesting that sometimes business deals get in the way, sometimes it's to eliminate the risk of releasing on multiple platforms, and sometimes it's because the team just simply doesn't have much connection to Xbox. With all of this in mind, the Xbox boss says there's still plenty of work ahead. He said, I love the progress that we've made. I think about the work we've done over 5 or 6 years there, but there's obviously more work for us to do. So this doesn't sound like the guy that's given up. He's already been sort of kind of teased or whatever that he's got these other things to do, like flying back over to Japan or whatever. That's a smart thing. I think he's the one that realistically. Microsoft has to kind of look at these things and go, okay, well, he's the one with all the connections, and he's the one that's kind of doing this or that. And I find that to be 100% on par for what he's doing. Like Phil Spencer is the guy, and I say that a lot. People will probably make fun of me for saying that. Me and him used to have some issues and stuff, and it all got worked out. But I honestly feel that Phil is the one that's right the ship. He is his idea to get Minecraft, his idea to do Game Pass, like. Those were his babies, all these things, the studios, all this stuff was him. And I just feel like that's the guy you want leading Xbox. We can sit there and try to force blame on bad timing and bad luck with COVID and lockdowns and things like that. But I feel like that's totally ignorant. That stuff is in the past, and the things that we're seeing right now come out, like Phil Spencer saying, they were going to release Starfield way earlier had it not been for them. And you're starting to see, even in Exile, right? Like I mentioned this a little bit in my post-show video. Everybody was talking about how Microsoft mismanaged Redfall, and maybe they did. They took it on the chin for that. But nobody ever talks about the stuff like, this was Starfield. They got all the extra time, all the QA testers, all the money. You look at In Exile, they've only done those over the top, over the shoulder. They did Bard's Tale, they did some of that stuff, which, again, I don't think was, they're okay. They're just not my cup of tea. Now, thanks to Microsoft funding their dreams, they can do the game they always want to. And that Clockwork Revolution game looks absolutely incredible. So we see what Microsoft can bring to the table. We see Hellblade 2 looks fantastic, and they were given the time, money, and support to create what they wanted to. The first Hellblade people liked. They thought it was a good game, but it was very much like an indie game where you had to backtrack and look for like the little puzzles and stuff. And I felt like that really wasn't a part of what the that developer likes to do, which is the combat. So they've helped. Look at Psychonauts 2. That game wouldn't have had any bosses whatsoever if not for the fact that Microsoft funded that, right? There was a GoFundMe thing or a crowdfunded thing, and they've even said it. We wouldn't have had the bosses if not for Microsoft. They allowed us to delay it. They allowed us to still publish it on PS4. They've done so many incredible things for these developers, and people still like to crap on them. I don't think Phil is going anywhere. I think Sarah Bond is a good person. I think she does good for her job. I think she definitely needs more time doing that, and I can see why people like her, but to be clamoring to get rid of Phil, I don't think that makes sense in the least. I hope he sticks around for a long time to come. And for those people, I've asked a couple of journalists that I know, a couple of friends that I know, they said they've heard nothing like that, quite the opposite. So, he's going to be around for the long haul, hopefully. Let me know what you think, though. Do you think it's time for a change? Let me know. I'm Crap Gamer. This has been Crap Gamer Reviews. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.